I just wanted to show a couple of things that I managed to do with Godot using the Wwise integration. So I had a list of ideas that I wanted to achieve, kind of like a basic 3D game audio system. So this is that list. The Wwise integration itself was pretty simple to install. Like you just literally download that folder from GitHub and then set up Wwise accordingly. Then you're pretty much ready to go. So this project is not really organized. I just wanted to get things done quickly, just to see if they work. So if you see something dodgy, then it's because of that. So let's get into it. So here we are in the build, and if we just go through the list of things, list of systems, then I think that would be most sensible. And you can see that listener here. I just attached it to the player so that I can more easily test stuff out, and it's also clear which way it's pointing and stuff like that. The first area here, we have an evil forest. So when we walk into it, it changes the ambient state to evil, starts up this drone sound. Well, it's always playing in the background, but it's just changing it to be audible. And when we exit out, it goes back to neutral state, which is the neutral ambience. You can see those colliders here. I've enabled them so you can see what's going on. Then we have a good forest, which is slightly more complicated, but not really. It changes the ambience to good, starts up this nice nature sound, which is actually my own recording, and starts up this bird system as well, which is kind of, if I show that in Wwise, so it starts up a sequence, and which is playing this random container, and this random container has a couple of things going on. So initial delay from 5 to 10 seconds, 5 to 15 seconds. So every time the random container plays, it waits for 5 to 15 seconds and then plays that sound, plays one of these random birds. And the positioning is also randomized, so every time that sound plays, it kind of picks a random spot where it flies from and flies to, so the birds are kind of flying around the player. And this is really easily expandable. You just add more birds, pretty much. Then we have a radio playing in a room. So this is to test out like the AkRoom node and AkPortal node as well. So you can see that portal here in orange, and then the room behind it. So we can hear a little bit of reverb, and there's a radio playing in that room. So if we walk somewhere else, it's working correctly. The geometry is blocking that sound. And then we walk in front of the door, you can hear what's coming inside of it, and when we walk in, you can actually hear that radio. So you can see this is a radio. So that system is working correctly. If we check that out in Godot, nothing special in that. It's just an AK Event 3D playing that radio. And all of the meshes have to have a AkGeometry node inside of it, so it applies that geometry to that mesh, so Wwise understands what's going on. In there we have enabling diffraction and a couple of more options. You can choose the acoustic texture and then the transmission loss value, so how much it's transmitted through the wall. So all in all, pretty simple setup to get going. AkRoom has the collision inside of it, and a couple of options here. Then the radio player itself. So for the AkRoom to work, anything inside of it has to have a collider. So the AK Event 3D has an area 3D inside of it, which has a collision shape, and also a mesh for the text. But this is really important for the AkRoom to actually know that what it needs to affect. And then we have AkPortal, which is basically just assigning the back room to be the AkRoom, and then the front room is basically outdoors, so it automatically knows if I don't assign anything into it, knows that it's outdoors. So that's the house and room stuff. Then we have a river. So basically just some flowing water, as you can see from the graphics. So this has a couple of nodes. So basically AK Event 3Ds all across this river, and it has two events, so river far and river near, and then it can blend between those. If we pop into Wwise here for a little bit, this is the river blend container. This is kind of the near river system. So it's a random container that's playing these river 1 second river clips in a loop. So every 1 second it's picking the next one to play, and makes it sound really nice. And then we have a river far, which basically just the same river recorded a bit further away. And those are tied to like different attenuations. So I have a player attenuation far and a near one. So then the game itself kind of blends those different layers together. So in the build, when you are walking next to the river, it kind of follows the player in a natural way. It sounds really nice, at least to me. And you can hear a little bit of the footstep sounds also changing. We'll get back to that in a minute. First we have a larger room which has a larger reverb, and also a couple of more interesting things. Geometry is actually moving, and audio is reacting to it accordingly. If we get closer to it, you can hear the gunshot sounds and also the room ambience coming in and out a bit slightly smoothly, at least. So when we go inside, it's a gunshot sound playing, and it's changing the footstep surface and stuff like that. So everything is pretty much working as I like. The system is working, geometry is working, and that's nice. So the footsteps, you can see here the edge of the footstep surface. So it's basically just using colliders to change the switch, and then sending that switch signal to Wwise, so it knows what's going on. So the footstep sounds are tied to the animation, and the animation itself is triggering a function that's basically setting that switch and then playing that footstep sound. The footsteps themselves, you can see the footstep node here. It also has area 3D and collision shapes, just so it can affect the room reverbs and stuff. So in the footstep collider, or the surface, it has this function. So on enter, it's checking if the body is the player node, and then setting that switch accordingly, and then also updating that switch data to a global data script, which is basically keeping track of the switch and the state. And then basically the animation is triggering this function. It's setting that switch and then posting that event. So it's checking that switch every time it plays a step. So yeah, I'm not really a programmer, so those scripts might be dodgy, but hey, it works. And then the final thing I wanted to achieve was the RTPC kind of system. Just chose like a weapon overheat to get a little bit scripting going on there as well. So every time I shoot, it's updating a little bit of that weapon overheat RTPC. So it's adding 20 to that value. And then every second it goes down by 50 units. So you can shoot normally, like so, and then when it goes over 40, so you can see that RTPCs here. When it goes over 35, it starts to stop this overheat sound, and then the creaks are starting a little bit later, a bit smoother. So when you shoot a little bit, it starts making this pneumatic sound, and then when you full send it, it starts breaking down. And with that, those are like kind of the first steps I wanted to take with Godot and Wwise integration, and it seems to work pretty well. It's a bit of a learning process still, but at least now we have a nice starting point and we can start optimizing and doing stuff. So hope this was interesting to you and maybe even a little bit helpful. Thanks for watching.